I walked in on my fiancée tangled up in bed with my closest friend. Her first reaction, "What? You gonna cry about it?" she said with a smirk. I didn't respond, just smiled and walked away. This morning, my phone's been flooded with missed calls from both of them. Even now, I can barely believe I'm typing this. My hands aren't trembling from sadness. It's fury coursing through me. It all went down yesterday, and my phone hasn't stopped lighting up since. Here's a little context. I'm Noah, 32 years old. Until just a day ago, I was engaged to Kristen, 29. We'd been together for 3 years, engaged for 6 months. I genuinely believed she was the one. My best friend, Brian, 31 million, was going to be my best man. Was being the key word. Looking back, the signs were there. I just didn't want to see them. It started when Kristen began hitting the gym more frequently around 4 months ago. Nothing shady about that, at first. Especially since Brian, my supposed best friend, was her personal trainer. We'd known each other since high school. I trusted him blindly. That was my biggest mistake. Soon, Kristen started working late more often, always giving vague excuses about work meetings dragging on. Her phone never left her side, always face down. She'd get texts late into the night and smile at them. But if I got close, she'd quickly lock her screen. You know the drill. Whenever I asked about it, she'd flip the script on me. Suddenly, I was the problem. I was too controlling. I had trust issues. I was insecure. Yesterday, I was supposed to be at a job site until 6 p.m. The meeting wrapped up early, so I thought I'd surprise her with her favorite takeout. I came home early, and guess who got the real surprise? The moment I pulled into the driveway, I felt that gut punch. Brian's truck was parked there. He was supposed to be at work. I stood there holding that stupid takeout bag, just staring at his truck like it would magically morph into someone else's car. I let myself in quietly using my key. Noisy upstairs. Real noisy. You know in movies when everything goes silent except for your heartbeat? That's a lie. I could hear everything. Them. And my pulse thundering in my ears. I pushed the bedroom door open. There they were. In our bed. The same bed we picked out together. The bed where we'd talked about marriage, kids, growing old together. Kristen spotted me first. And get this, she didn't even flinch. No guilt. No shame. She looked straight at me with that smug little grin and said, "What are you gonna do?" Cry? Brian scrambled up, stammering, "Dude, I can explain." I cut him off. "Don't bro me." My voice was eerily calm. Kristen wrapped the sheets around herself, still smirking. Say something. What? No dramatic meltdown? I didn't say a word. Just pulled out my phone and snapped a few pictures. They tried to cover up, but too late. "Thanks for making this easy," I said, turned around, and walked out. Behind me, Kristen screamed, "That's it? You're just gonna walk away? Coward." I paused at the doorway and replied, "No. I'm just getting started." I checked into a motel that night. This morning, my phone blew up. 47 missed calls from Kristen, 23 from Brian. Texts begging me to keep quiet, not to tell Brian's wife, Judith. Kristen's messages flip-flopped, threats mixed with pathetic pleas. One message from her stood out. "If you ruin my life over this, I swear you'll regret it." I haven't answered a single one. But I've made some calls. First, my bank. Then, both our families. You see, I'd been suspicious for weeks. And thanks to our shared iPad, which Kristen forgot was still linked to her phone, I had everything. Texts, photos, plans, lies. It was all there. Right about now, Kristen's probably wondering why her credit cards are being declined. That's because the joint account? Emptied. I moved my half into a separate account last night. Her engagement ring is sitting on the kitchen counter beside a note. Hope he was worth it. Their phones haven't stopped ringing mine. But I'm not answering. I'm done talking. They expected tears, yelling, chaos. Instead, I've got a plan. More updates soon. I've got a feeling this story's just getting started. So yesterday I shared what happened when I walked in on Kristen and Brian. Things have only escalated since then, and I need to let it all out. Like I said, I woke up to dozens of missed calls. 47 from Kristen, 23 from Brian, and around 100 messages combined. Kristen was all over the place trying to explain things away, while Brian was begging me to keep quiet and not go to his wife, Judith. Too late, buddy. You should have thought of that before deciding my relationship didn't matter. Funny thing is, I hadn't even told them I knew everything. But I had suspected something for a while. Kristen was way too attached to her phone lately, always keeping it locked. But she'd forgotten all about our shared iPad. Classic amateur move. I found messages stretching back for months, literal months of lies, late-night texts, sneaky hookups disguised as training sessions. And the kicker? She paid Brian using my credit card. I have the receipts, both literally and figuratively. That morning, I began methodically separating our lives. Step 1. The bank. I closed our joint accounts and pulled her off my cards. The bank rep? She listened quietly, then said, "You're doing the right thing. My sister went through this. Don't let her take you down with her." I thanked her and moved on. By noon, Kristen showed up, knocked on my door like nothing had happened. She was crying, falling apart, babbling apologies. I let her speak. Just stood there while she spiraled, alternating between sobs and declarations of love. Then she flipped. "You're really going to throw away 3 years over one mistake?" she snapped. "We're supposed to be married in 4 months." I looked her in the eyes and replied, "I was coming home early to surprise you. Had a reservation and everything. Guess I was the one who got the surprise." She turned ghost white when I mentioned the messages on the iPad. Tried to switch the narrative. "You violated my privacy." I actually laughed. Loudly. "Privacy? You mean like the privacy of the bed I found you in with Brian?" Perfect timing. Brian showed up not even 5 minutes later. He tried to act casual. "We should talk, man. Just us." I looked him dead in the face and said, 15 years of friendship and this is what you do? You've got nothing to say I want to hear." He tried puffing up his chest, walking toward me like he wanted a fight. "You gonna hit me?" he barked. "Go ahead. I'll call the cops." I didn't move, just looked at him with disgust. Bullies always shrink when you refuse to flinch. But here's the best part. I wasn't sitting around doing nothing while all this unfolded. I'd already contacted Judith, Brian's wife, sent her every message, every image, every receipt. She had the full story. An hour later, Brian's phone was blowing up. Guess he was learning what sleeping on someone's couch feels like. Kristen's been trying to do damage control with our friends, telling them I'm overreacting. But guess what? Screenshots don't lie. And once people saw them, many changed sides real quick. Even the wedding venue called today asking about the final deposit. I explained that the wedding was canceled. And why? The woman on the phone was surprisingly chill. "Honestly, happens more than you'd think," she said. "Better now than after vows are exchanged. I've already moved most of my stuff to my brother's, changed my passwords, got new cards, full reset. Kristen hasn't stopped texting. Keeps switching between numbers. One message will be her begging, the next she's threatening. Brian's tried reaching out too. Apparently I'm ruining his life." "Nah, man, you did that all by yourself. The strangest part? I feel calm. Maybe it's numbness. Maybe it's closure. Maybe it's just relief that I dodged a long-term disaster. Some mutual friends think I should try to forgive her. Work it out. Not happening. Those same friends likely knew and stayed quiet. Tonight, I'm meeting Judith. She wants to go over timelines and fill in the blanks. Should be an enlightening conversation. What they don't realize is I've got even more proof. So much more. And this is far from over. I hadn't planned to post another update, but things have gone way beyond what I expected. Huge thanks to everyone who supported me on my earlier posts. This community's been incredible. To quickly recap, I found my fiancée, Kristen, in our bed with my best friend, Brian. Since then, I've been slowly dismantling their lives, one piece at a time. But the last few days? Oh, they've been something else entirely. Remember when I said Kristen needed me as a reference for a huge client deal she was working on? Yeah. Last Thursday, that client actually reached out to confirm some details about my employment and background. I kept it civil and professional, told them the truth. I explained that I was no longer engaged to Kristen and couldn't vouch for her credibility. I didn't say anything defamatory, just shared that I personally found her to be dishonest in serious personal matters and therefore couldn't offer a character reference. That was enough. The client pulled out. That night, Kristen showed up at my place screaming at 9 p.m. She had her phone raised, clearly trying to record the whole thing, probably hoping to bait me into saying or doing something that would look bad on camera. "You bitter asshole!" she yelled. "You just cost me my biggest deal of the year!" She kept following me around my front porch, waving the phone in my face. I stayed calm, kept my hands in my pockets, looked her right in the eyes and said, "Actions have consequences. Maybe next time think twice before sleeping with someone's best friend." She totally lost it. Started throwing patio chairs at my front door after I went inside and locked it. I called the non-emergency police line and recorded everything through the window. They gave her a warning for disturbing the peace. The look on her face when they let me stay calm and collected and saw her as the unstable one. Priceless. But that wasn't the big event. That would be Judith, Brian's now estranged wife. I messaged her and asked if she wanted to meet up and go over everything. She said yes, and we met for coffee. I brought printed copies of all the messages, pictures, and receipts I had collected. She was shockingly composed as she flipped through them, until she saw texts dated back to January, months before I found them in bed. "That was the weekend he said he was working a double shift," she whispered, reading the timestamp. "And this one? He told me he was doing overtime." I believed him. She teared up right there at the table. My heart broke for her. Judith decided it was time for her own form of justice. And let me tell you, it was far more brutal than anything I had done. She waited until Saturday morning, when Brian usually trains his clients at the gym. Walked right in, cool as ice, carrying a protein shake. She spotted Brian in front of a full group session, strolled up, and dumped the entire shake over his head. Then she pulled out a printed sheet of messages and began reading them out loud. The graphic ones, the ones where they joked about lying to us, the ones mocking me, mocking her. Someone recorded it. It went viral, fast. The gym's Facebook page blew up with comments. Within days, Brian lost over half his clients. Parents don't want someone like that training their kids. Adults don't want a liar coaching them on discipline. His little side hustle as a fitness influencer? Done. His follower count tanked. Sponsorships? Gone. Kristen tried to do some PR of her own. Posted some long-winded, "I made a mistake. Love is complicated" apology monologue online, painting herself as confused, misunderstood, and hurt. That's when I decided to respond. Remember the video of her from our engagement party? The one where she stood up and tearfully thanked me for rescuing her after a toxic relationship? Where she called me the most loyal man she'd ever known? Yeah. I spliced that footage with screenshots of her messages arranging secret meetups with Brian, synced it all to some appropriately dramatic music, posted it directly under her apology post. 2 hours later, she called me. This time, she was actually crying. Real tears. "Please," she sobbed, "take it down. People are calling my family. My sister blocked me. Brian won't even return my calls." I simply asked, "What now? You gonna cry?" Then I hung up. Her fairy tale meltdown is in full motion. Brian? Sleeping on a friend's couch. Judith changed the locks. Kristen's brokerage is furious she lost a major client. She's on probation. A lot of our old mutual friends have gone radio silent, mostly on their end. A few reached out to tell me they always had a bad feeling about the two of them but didn't want to stir drama. Thanks, I guess. More calls, more texts. They want to meet for closure. But they're scared. Scared because they know I still have more dirt. And they're right. I do. But honestly, watching them panic is more satisfying than any revenge I could have planned. And the best part? I'm finally free. This will probably be my last update, and I've taken a little time to write it because, well, the last few weeks have been a lot. If you've read the earlier parts, you know how things started. I found my fiancée, Kristen, in bed with my best friend, Brian. I stayed calm, collected proof, and watched their lives unravel piece by piece. But I promised there was more, and now I'm going to tell you how it ends. I mentioned earlier that I still had cards left to play, and oh boy, I played every single one. Legally, of course. Nothing shady, no threats, no illegal moves, just pure, cold precision. Let's start with Kristen. Those words she threw at me when I caught them still echo in my mind. What are you gonna do? Cry? Well, I didn't cry. I got smart. Turns out our next-door neighbor had a security camera that pointed directly at our driveway. I asked if I could review some footage, and she said yes. What did I find? A timeline. Date after date. Every time Kristen brought Brian over when I was working late or traveling, video proof of him entering and leaving, all lined up with text messages I'd saved from our linked iPad. With that evidence compiled, I waited for just the right moment. Kristen had been gearing up for a huge deal. She'd been bragging for months about how she was going to land this rich couple looking to buy their dream home. Big money. Career-making kind of money. Well, guess who happened to know the buyers? My cousin Edgar. One quiet conversation with him and a peek at the evidence I had was all it took. Edgar had a word with the couple, and that deal? Gone. They pulled out without hesitation. Kristen was devastated. She tried to salvage it, but word started to spread. People started talking. And I didn't need to say anything. I just showed people the truth when they asked. Her clients disappeared one after another. Meetings got canceled. Calls went unanswered. Turns out couples don't want to hire real estate agents who sleep with their clients' spouses, especially when there's video and time-stamped proof floating around. Some of those clients were ones Brian had trained, because yes, he used to help Kristen with her business by introducing her to his gym contacts. Not anymore. Speaking of Brian, Judith was the real storm. She was quiet at first, but when she went off, she went nuclear. Brian came home one night to find all his stuff, clothes, weights, gadgets, scattered across the lawn. Locks changed, divorce papers taped to the door. Remember, she works at the same gym where Brian trained his clients. Guess who suddenly couldn't keep his sessions booked anymore? Clients started bailing on him left and right. Some just didn't want to be associated with the drama. Others flat out told him they'd lost respect. Management took notice. Complaints rolled in. Rumors circulated that he might be replaced. And here's the twist. Kristen and Brian? Yeah, they turned on each other. Like clockwork. Brian accused Kristen of being too reckless, of flaunting things and leaving a trail. Kristen blamed Brian for ruining everything and dragging her down with him. They went from lovers to enemies in record time. Last night, the cherry on top. I was out with a few friends at our usual local bar, and guess who walked in? Kristen and Brian. Kristen spotted me, marched straight over, and hissed, "You're a pathetic piece of shit. You've ruined our lives because you couldn't handle a little betrayal?" I just smiled. "Can't handle it? Sweetheart, I'm thriving. How's that commission check looking?" Brian tried to cut in, chest puffed. I looked him in the eye. "And you? Still dreaming of being a fitness influencer? Or has that dream gone down the toilet with your career?" He lunged at me, threw a punch. Bad move. I grew up scrappy. I might have a desk job now, but I haven't forgotten how to throw hands. 10 seconds later, he was on the floor, nose bleeding, dazed. The bartender saw everything, confirmed he threw the first punch. I wasn't even asked to leave. Filed a report just in case. This morning, Kristen's office called her in. Not to offer sympathy, but to question her behavior. Turns out, when you mix unprofessional conduct, lost clients, and drama going viral, your company notices. She's now on a very thin leash. One more screw-up, and she's out. Brian's basically homeless. Judith's moving forward with the divorce. His social media is a ghost town. His sponsors, gone. His clients, fled. Oh, and here's the ironic bit. Kristen kicked him out last week. Apparently, she finally realized he wasn't her savior, just another anchor dragging her deeper. And me? I've started seeing someone. Her name's Aspen. She's honest, grounded, no mind games. She knows the full story, and she's patient with the walls I've built. We're taking things slow, but it feels real. The kind of real I never had with Kristen. Here's what I've learned through all of this. True revenge doesn't come from rage. It comes from clarity, from stepping back and letting the truth speak louder than any outburst ever could. They thought I'd explode, collapse, make a scene. Instead, I collected receipts, told the truth, and let their own actions devour them. Karma isn't loud. She's organized. And she always shows up on time.